Hi guys, welcome to Piece of Code and welcome to this video. So in this video we are going to discuss about EBS and EFS, right? EBS stands for Elastic Block Storage, which many people are familiar with when they are working with EC2, and then there is EFS, which is Elastic File System. Okay, so before we start the topic, I just want to go to my AWS console and create a EC2 instance. Because we will need that in our demo session or hands-on session. So I'm just going to launch an instance. We're gonna keep everything as defaults and just launch an instance. So EBS demo or something, name it as, and this is fine. Instance type is T2 micro. Key pair, proceed without a key pair. Network settings, we're just gonna keep it all the same. Everything is fine. Configure storage, advanced details. We don't need any user data script, so we will just gonna keep it like this, and we're just gonna click on launch instance. Okay, so while it is creating, we will just go back to our lecture and start the lecture. So Elastic Block Storage, right? So it provides persistent block storage volumes for use with Amazon EC2 instances in the AWS cloud, right? So basically these are just, I would say, volumes which you attach to your EC2 instance so that you can store information or data or whatever, right? And because these are network volumes, right, so I mean it is not actually physically present to be attached like your own I would say physical hardware that you have in your laptop. You have your hard disk, right? But this is not like that. This is network type of a volume, and it has its certain advantages also. So it provides you with high availability and durability, and it, as I told you, it gives you a lot of performance, and it gives you a very low latency performance and for your workloads and for your data. So what are some key features of EBS volumes? One is persistent storage. EBS volumes persist independently from the life of an instance. Now you can make it dependent on the life of an instance by marking an attribute which is delete on termination. We'll see that in a minute in our hands-on session, but that's what it is. That's why I told you it is not a dependent. It's not a physical hardware that is connected to your EC2 instance. It is done through the network, right? So it is independent of the instance, so you can detach a particular volume from your EC2 instance. It doesn't matter. You can take that volume and attach it to another EC2 instance. Doesn't matter. You can do loads of stuff with it. Second thing is scalable. EBS volumes can be easily scaled up or down as needed. Whenever you need to, you just scale up and scale down. That's pretty easy. You can use replicated. So EBS volumes are replicated within an availability zone to protect against failures. And then we have the concept of snapshots, where you can use it for backup and disaster recovery. So we'll discuss this in detail, the snapshot feature, and I'm also going to show you a demo or a hands-on lecture on what are snapshots. So basically snapshots are nothing but copies of your volume. So you take a copy of your volume, and it is very, very much useful, and it has a lot of advantages. But from exam perspective, you just need to know all these key features of EBS volumes. Okay, now let us talk about some volume types of volumes in EBS. So I mean, obviously we have certain classification of services in every AWS service, like we have tiers in S3. Similarly, we have volume types in in particular EBS. So the first volume type is general purpose SSD, which is GP2 and GP3, right? GP2 SSD and GP3 SSD. So it gives you a balanced price and performance. So you can have a balance between your cost and your performance. It is suitable for a wide range of workloads. GP3 offers baseline performance of 3000 IOPS and allows you to, IOPS is nothing but input output per second, right, and allows you to provision additional IOPS and throughput independently. It's nothing but your performance of your particular EBS volume. You don't have to remember all of these IOPS concepts for the exam. I don't see much questions revolving around like what is the IOPS of this, what is the IOPS of that. It is better to remember, but just vaguely remember what each volume type, because in the question they may ask you to choose a particular volume based on a specific type of workload. If in the question it says that you need a balanced performance between your price and your throughput, then you should go with the general purpose GP2 or GP3. GP3 is the latest thing, so you always go with GP3. So GP2 provides baseline performance of 3 IOPS per gigabytes up to 16,000 IOPS. Provisioned IOPS SSD, IO1 and IO2. So basically this is for latency specific or some critical applications that you need, and it will give you very high performance, but obviously your cost will increase, and it can go up to 64,000 IOPS, the throughput, and it provides you with higher durability, which is 59 durability. So whenever in the question they ask you that okay, this is what it is, we don't want to compromise on the price, we just need don't want to compromise on the performance, whatever price it is, we need we have a very critical application, for example some hospital health related application, right? And if you see, all health related application must have the most uptime, right? They cannot go down because it's a very critical and sensitive application. In that case, in those scenarios, you should go with provisioned IOPS. Okay, so let's talk about throughput optimized HDD, which is also known as ST1. So it is a low cost HDD volume designed for frequently accessed throughput intensive workloads, suitable for big data, data warehouses and log processing. So whenever the concept of HDD comes, it basically resides towards storage more rather than processing, which is IOPS. So this goes up, we kind of compromise with the IOPS because our main concern is storage. But in that storage, even if we are favoring storage more, it's still you would say it is, if your data is frequently accessed, for example there is one file or hundreds of files and they are terabytes of files, and you are frequently accessing those files, but your main concern is storage, then you would go with throughput optimized, so that at least you can access your files at a very higher pace. Processing or IOPS is not necessary in this case because we are concerned with storage. Now comes the last one, which is the cheapest, I would say, of the volume types, which is cold HDD. It is designed for less frequently accessed workloads. Whenever your concern is storage and you don't want to access it much frequently also, and your company or whatever your organization doesn't want to spend much on this thing, then you will go with cold HDD. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay, now coming to the key concepts. First key concept is the EBS snapshot feature. So you can take incremental backups of EBS volumes. It doesn't mean that you have to take incremental backups. That feature is there, and also you can take manual backups also. Can be used to create new volumes or restore data. So for example, you have a EBS volume over here. So this is EBS volume. You take a snapshot. You take a snapshot of that EBS volume, right? And you can create a new volume, new EBS volume. Now the very interesting thing about snapshots is that, and an interesting concept about EBS is that you can only attach the EBS if it is present in the same availability zone of your EC2 instance. For example, if your EC2 instance is in US East 1A, then your EBS volume should also be in US East 1A. Otherwise, you will not be able to attach because EBS volumes are zone specific. Now there is a requirement which says that we need to create a new volume, and this is obviously sometimes a very similar question that occurs in the exam. You need to create a new volume in a separate availability zone, for example US East 1B or another region, you can say. So you will take a snapshot, then you create the snapshot in another region or another availability zone, and you create a new volume out of it in that particular availability zone. So this is a very common question. How will you take one volume, EBS volume, from one availability zone to another availability zone? It is by the use of snapshots, right? I hope that is making sense. Okay, too much theory, we are getting bored, so let's move on to some practical session, and then we're gonna move back to the theory. So our instance is ready. And if we just look at some of the features of our instance, so I just want to know in which availability zone I created this. I didn't see that, so I'm just gonna go to networking. Maybe it should be here. It is US East 1B. That is fine, because I want to create an EBS volume, and I just wanted to know in which availability zone it is. But before we create the EBS volume, let's have a look at the storage of this particular instance for now. Sorry, EC2 instance. So it already has one volume, EBS volume, attached to it, and this is the device name. It is of 8 GB size, and it is attached status. If we just go over here, there is one attribute which says delete on termination. Now this, if this particular attribute is marked as yes, then it means that if your EC2 instance gets deleted, then with that particular EC2 instance, this EBS volume will also get deleted. I hope that is making sense. That one thing I wanted to show. That's it about it. Now let's go to our volumes section over here, and then just create a volume. Obviously we already have a volume, and it's already attached to that EC2 instance. We'll create a volume, and we're gonna create a general purpose GP3 volume SSD. You can choose whatever you want. Then the size of it, let's keep it to 10 gigabytes or 10 GB. Everything, let's keep it as default, and the availability zone I want to choose is US East 1B. Okay, I don't want to create a volume from a snapshot, right? And I don't want encryption as of now, so I'm just going to create the volume as of now. So the volume is created. Okay, this is the previous one, so let's just refresh it, and it's in available state. It means that this volume is available to use, but it is still not connected to any or attached to any this EBS volume, to an EC2 instance. Okay, so what we will do now is we will go to this volume, and we're gonna go to actions, and we're gonna attach this volume, right? And if you see, we are in the same availability zone, US East 1B, and if I just see there is one instance running, so I'm just gonna select that, and don't need any device name. We're just gonna attach the one. Okay, we're gonna select the device name. Okay, we're just gonna go with dev STB and attach the volume. Now if you see, it is an in use state. Okay, so you can use this volume now with your EC2 instance. So see how easy it is to attach and detach a particular volume from your EC2 instance. Now interesting thing, if we go back to our EC2 instance instances section over here, let's delete our instance. So let's go over here, let's go to actions, and okay, one more thing I wanted to show. Let's go back to our volumes over here, and let's create another volume, and let's keep it 5 GB maybe. Don't need much money to spend, and let's keep it US East 1A, and let's create the volume, right? Now it should be in insufficient data state. Okay, this is why I don't know why it is. Okay, let's check on this thing. This is an OK state, and it is an available state. So we're gonna just go to this particular newly created volume, and we try to attach it to our EC2 instance. And if you see, there is no matching running or running EC2 instance over here, because it is bound to a availability zone, as I told you. I hope that is making sense. So we're gonna go back to our instances. We're gonna select our instance over here, which is this one, and we're going to go to actions or instance state, and I'm going to terminate the instance. Terminate. So what I wanted to show you over here is that as that particular initial volume which we had created while creating this instance, it had the delete on termination attribute, right? So we wanted to check that if we delete our instance over here, our EBS volume should also get deleted. Now let's check that. Probably it will take some time. So let's go back to our volumes. Okay, see, it is deleted. Now we have our two volumes which were created, and they are over here. So we don't need this 5 GB volume. So let's go to actions and let's delete the volume, and just gonna type delete, and let's delete this volume. So let's talk about snapshots over here. So how to create a snapshot? It's pretty simple, guys. Just select this particular volume, go to actions, and then you say create snapshot, and just we're gonna say the description as example snapshot, and then we're gonna create the snapshot. So now if I go to we should be having snapshots, yes, over here. So we have this snapshot over here, and it's not encrypted, and it's done, it's available 100%. Now let's select this snapshot over here and go to actions. We can create two things from here. Create image from snapshot, which will be an AMI. So you can create that also, which we're going to discuss in a separate video. You can copy the snapshot, you can delete the snapshot, you can do a lot of things. So you can copy the snapshot from one region or one availability zone to another availability zone, or you can create a volume from snapshot. So let's create volume from snapshot, and if you see, it's so simple, right? So you can just select the volume type, size is 10 GB. You can check the availability zone. It was created in US availability one. You can select whatever, US East 1E, and then you can create the volume in that particular region, sorry, availability zone. So if I go back to our volumes over here, so we have two volumes now. One is what is that? See, one it is in US East 1B and one is in US East 1E. So you see from a snapshot how we were able to create another volume in another availability zone. One more feature I want to show you is that this copy snapshot feature. So this is a copied snapshot, and you can copy it to another region, right? It is, you know, you can copy a snapshot to another region. That's what I was explaining over here. You create one EBS volume, you create a snapshot, then you copy the snapshot to another region, and then you create a volume out of it. Now if you want to, you know, move around the volume in the same same region, for example in US East 1, then probably you can directly create the volume from there. But if you want to move around in regions, from one region to another region, you first copy the snapshot from that region to another region, and then you can create a volume out of it. For example, from US East 1 we can go to for example AP South 1, and we're going to copy the snapshot, right? Okay, so this is US East. It should show me, one second, let me just, okay, let's go to AP South 1, I think this way. Okay, so you can see that in this region we have this copied snapshot, and in this particular region you can go over here and go to actions and create volume or image from snapshot. So see how easy it is to move your particular volume from one region to another without even doing something. So we're just gonna delete this copied snapshot, we don't need it, and probably I will forget, so I'm just gonna delete this, right? Okay, and then we're gonna go back to our Northern Virginia region. And one more thing I wanted to show you is that you can go to recycle bin, and you can obviously, if you want to protect your Amazon EBS snapshots from Amazon machine image from accidental deletion, so it will come to this recycle bin. You can create retention rules, okay, till what period you want to retain or something like that. Retention rules if you can create, and you can also restore your particular snapshots from the recycle bin to your particular place. It works just like your recycle bin in your computer, right? You delete something, it stays in the recycle bin. From there you can go back and restore that particular file or data. Pretty simple, right? Okay, I hope that is making sense. Now that was all about EBS snapshots, guys. I'm just gonna delete this snapshot as well, we don't need it anymore. Okay, and then if I go to volumes, I should be having two volumes. We have two volumes. Just gonna select everything, and we're going to, oh sorry, just gonna go over here and just delete the volumes. Great, my bad. Okay, so this is done. So now let's go back to our theory. So the key concepts, we understood the advantage of snapshots, why do we need it, and everything. It can be used to create new volumes or restore data. We just saw that. Can be stored in it is stored in Amazon S3 but are managed by EBS. So in the background, these snapshots are stored in Amazon S3 but they are managed by EBS, so you don't have to worry about where it is stored or whatever. EBS optimized instances. So it provides dedicated bandwidth between EC2 instances and EBS volumes, and it ensures consistent performance. Very less few questions you can see in from this EBS optimized instances, but whenever it comes, you can choose this option whenever you see that there is a requirement of dedicated bandwidth between your EC2 instances and your EBS volumes. Next thing is encryption, guys. EBS volumes support encryption at rest. So you can encrypt your volume. There was option to encrypt your volume, and you can do that. Sorry. One more question you may be asked in the exam is that while you are creating an EBS volume, right? You create an EBS volume, you get the option of either to encrypt it or not. But for some reason you forgot to encrypt it. Now the question will ask you, how do you encrypt it now? Now you cannot go to an existing EBS volume which you have created and directly encrypt it. It is not possible. So what you need to do is, you need to create, so this is your EBS volume, you need to create an encrypted snapshot, right? Encrypted snapshot, and then you create a new volume, and you can use that new volume and attach it to your EC2 instance. So see, these kind of tricky questions, snapshot is a very simple thing of creating backups, right? But they will ask you all these tricky questions to confuse you. Okay, is the snapshot feature required here or not? But it is required. Encrypting a volume also encrypts all backups, right? So whatever backup you create of your encrypted volume, it will be automatically encrypted. This multi-attach IO1 or IO2, so basically allows multiple EC2 instances to attach to a single IO1 or IO2 volume. It kind of acts like a EFS file system, but it has more throughput than your EFS file system, because IO1 or IO2, which is this provisioned IOPS SSDs, have more throughput. Useful for applications that requires high availability. But if your requirement is not the throughput, and you can work with normal file systems or a NFS file system, then you probably want to go with EFS, which is Elastic File System. Best practices to keep in mind while you work with EBS. First is backup regularly. Take regular snapshots. You can automate snapshots using AWS backup. I have talked about it in my question series that AWS backup is a central place to manage all of your backups in your AWS account. Monitor your performance using CloudWatch. It's very simple. You can create alarms based on metrics, right, like IOPS, throughput and latency. You can adjust the volume type or configuration based on workload requirements. Then optimize costs. Select the appropriate volume type that we discussed. Whatever is required, you just select it. You don't have to overdo every time, so you can use those things to optimize your costs. Security. Enable encryption. Use IAM policies to control access. You can use roles and policies, all of these things, and your users on groups, and you can use your permissions and everything, and then you can manage it through IAM. Data lifecycle management. Implement data lifecycle policies to automate the retention and deletion of the snapshot. You can also use, another point I want to add is use of recycle bin, right? You can use it to your advantage. So for example, you can create a retention rule over there, and if you want to restore, if you have accidentally deleted some snapshot, you can restore it from the recycle bin as well. Pretty easy to do and pretty straightforward to remember. So some important points for the exam: understand the difference between EBS volume types and their use cases. I have told you that. Know how to create, attach, detach and delete EBS volumes. We just did the hands-on. Be familiar with EBS snapshot creation and restoration. Understand EBS performance characteristics and how to monitor them. Know the cost implications of different EBS volumes and best practices for optimizing costs. Understand the encryption options and how to enable them. This multi-attach feature also, sometimes the question comes, and some people get confused that we need EFS in that case, but multi-attach works in a lot of scenarios. Understand how to use EBS with EC2 autoscaling and how EBS volumes behave with instance termination. Now this autoscaling, I have a separate lecture on that. You can go ahead and see how to implement autoscaling and how to use policies to scale up and scale down, and you can use it in combination with EBS to enhance that scalability thing and provide with high availability. Alright, so that was about EBS, guys. Let's move forward with EFS. Okay guys, now let us talk about Amazon EFS, which stands for Elastic File System. Okay, so Amazon Elastic File System provides scalable elastic file storage to use with Amazon EC2 instances with AWS Cloud. It supports the NFS v4 protocol, which is a network file system. Basically it acts like a NFS system only, right? Or an FSX system if you want to use it with Windows. So remember these two terms, right? NFS is for Linux and FSX is for Windows. So in the exam they will try to confuse you. They will give NFS option in Windows and FSX option in Linux. Please remember to not choose that, and can be accessed concurrently by thousands of EC2 instances. That is the main advantage of EFS. So there will be one drive or one file system and multiple EC2 instances will be able to access from it, and it is basically used for shared storage. Key features: scalable and elastic, high available and durability. Data is stored redundantly across multiple availability zones. You can create a regional NFS, which is a elastic file system. It can be spread across the region as well. I mean one region, you can spread across multiple availability zones. That's what I mean. Shared access, as we had talked about, main advantage of EFS. Managed service, you don't have to worry about anything. You just create the EFS file system and then attach it to your EC2. Just take care of some security groups and something, and that's it. Everything else will be taken care by AWS. Now that was all about the key features, right? Now talking about the performance modes, as we talked about in EBS. In EFS also there is two types. One is general purpose and another one is max IO. General purpose, as the name suggests, it's a balanced and it is good for most applications. For web serving environments, content management systems, home directory. Max IO is for higher throughput and parallel access to file system. It is suitable for any kind of a data analytics job like big data and analytics, media processing, and throughput in intensive workloads, right? That's for max IO. Now let's talk about storage classes. Basically, like in S3 we have tiers, in EFS we have storage classes. So when we have a standard storage class which is designed for frequently accessed files, right? Like a standard storage tier in S3, we have a standard storage class in EFS. Why I am trying to relate it to different other concepts, because these are nearly the same concepts, just it is an EFS and that is in S3, and S3 has more tiers. That's it. Then we have a IA, or the infrequent access storage class. It is designed for files that are not accessed frequently, and it is lower cost compared to the standard storage class. And one very good thing to remember is that it supports lifecycle management policies to automatically transition between storage and automatically transition between different storage classes, right? I hope that makes sense. So before going into these key concepts, let us see some demo or a hands-on lab session on EFS. It will be interesting. So we're gonna go into our AWS console and we're gonna search for EFS, right? So we're gonna go to EFS and we're gonna create an EFS file system. We're gonna create a new file system and we'll customize it and we'll see what are the different options available over here. So the name we're gonna give as example EFS. You can choose it to be a regional EFS, or you can, if you want to cut the costs, you can choose it to one zone. So if you choose regional, for example, in the Northern Virginia region, whatever this availability zones you have, US East 1, A, B, C, D, E, whatever you have, you will be able to, all your EC2 instances across all those availability zones will be able to communicate with your EFS file system, right? In the exam they may ask you this question: can we create a regional EFS file system? Obviously they will not ask you directly, but indirectly they may ask you this question. But to stick to this particular demo, it doesn't really matter. We're gonna stick with the one zone thing, and we're gonna select the US East 1A as the availability zone. Now automatic backups, I don't want any automatic backups, don't want it right now. Anyways, I'm going to delete it, so it doesn't matter. Lifecycle management, if you see, basically if you want to transition into infrequent access after 30 days or after 60 days, it's same thing as in S3 lifecycle management that we saw. If you see over here, if you want to move it to after 180 days or 14 days, whatever you want, transition into archive, you can go to archive tier and transition into standard. On first access, you can say that you can transition into the standard tier, right? That's it. Then we don't want any encryption, so we're just gonna check this box out of it. Let's talk about the performance settings. So there are two modes, I would say. Don't think about it, it's two types. So one mode is enhanced mode and another one is bursting mode. So in enhanced mode we have two types, one is elastic and one is provisioned. Elastic, as the name suggests, it is elastic. Whatever data, throughput you need, whatever data you need, it will provide you. It is elastic, it can scale up and whatever, right? Then provision means you will specify what is the provision throughput you need. For example, a 500 megabytes per second, and it costs a lot. I have to sell land and so something like that to get this particular provision throughput. Or let's try for 1000. Okay, that's $6,000. I have to sell my kidneys and stuff. Well, we don't want that. We're gonna stick with elastic mode. And the second mode that I would say is the bursting mode over here. So basically, whatever storage you have, based on that particular storage, it will provide you the throughput, right? I hope that is making sense. So if you generally see, there are three types of you would say performance settings. One is bursting mode, where you have, based on your storage, the particular the performance, the throughput will be given to you. Second one is elastic, which means that it will be completely elastic, doesn't matter what you use, you don't have to specify anything beforehand. Third one is provisioned, where you have to specify something. So three modes, right? Three types. They have grouped it under enhanced like this, but if you see, it is just three types. So we're gonna stick with the elastic mode over here. If you go to additional settings, performance mode is general purpose or max IO. If you are using one zone storage, so I don't think it supports max IO over here. Tags are optional, so we're gonna skip that. Let's move on to the next section. This is network. We're gonna keep the default VPC on. It is creating a security group, so we're gonna remove this security group and what we will do is we already have two security groups, but we will create one security group. So I'm just gonna go to security groups over here, this feature. I'm gonna open it in the new tab over here, and we already have two guys, so we don't have to worry about that. So we're gonna create a security group over here, and we're going to name it as my EFS SG, right? I hope that is making sense. Description SG for my EFS file system, right? That is fine. Just a second, guys, I have to arrange something over here. Okay, now VPC, that is the default VPC. I don't want any inbound rules for now. Outbound rules is fine. I'm going to create the security group. Okay, that I hope that makes sense. Now if I go to my security groups, I should be having three security groups, which is fine. So now we're going to go back to our EFS console over here and try to select the new security group, which I don't see over here. So we're going to go to previous, say remove and add mount target. Okay, it's still not coming. We're going to click on cancel. Okay, we have to create it again, my bad. We're going to customize it again. We're going to name it as example. My bad, guys, I just freaked out and it's not there. Okay, we're just gonna go through it real fast. And UST is to 1A, that is good, and this is fine. Let's click on next. UST is to 1A. If you choose the security group, should be here, my EFS SG. Great. Now let us go to the next one. Okay, so file system policy, basically it's just some settings that you would use, and it's like an access policy thing, but we don't need that right now. So we're gonna click on next. So this is all fine, it seems. Okay, great, and let's click on create. So we have this file system, it is being created. Okay, it is success. So if I see my file system over here, it's available to use, and total size is 6 KB over here. So as we have selected the elastic option, so we don't have to worry about the storage. As you grow it should take care of it. Okay, so now we'll go to EC2, and let's open it in a new tab over here. And now what we will do, we'll launch two instances and see how we can attach our EFS to it. So we're going to click on create launch instance, and so I'm just going to name it as my instance A, right? Just it's A, B we're going to name. It's pretty simple, and everything we're going to keep as normal. We don't need any key pair. In network settings, we're gonna select, we're gonna click on edit and select the subnet. Okay, subnet is not required. Auto assign is there. VPC is default VPC, that is fine. we're gonna so security group, it will automatically create. That is fine. This is also fine. So now if we click on file system sections over here, we can edit it, and we're gonna select the EFS file system. You currently have no file system on this instance. You must select a subnet before you can add a file system. Okay, fine, I got it. So we're gonna go to subnets, and this should be my subnet over here. Okay, UST1A subnet, because my file system is there. So obviously if I select any other subnet, my file system will not be there, because it's not a regional file system, it's a specific to availability zone. So we're going to select UST1A, and if I go down now, I should see, okay, add shared file system, and I can see my file system over here that we just created, and this is the mount point. So I'm just gonna copy the mount point and keep it somewhere. So I'm just gonna create a notepad and keep the mount point over here, so maybe just to refer it directly, I don't have to go into the description over time. Automatically create and attach security groups, automatically mount shared file system. Yes, I need that. Just click on launch instance. I hope you all the options that I'm selecting, guys, you guys are understanding, and you can work with that. It's pretty simple. We're just gonna create some instances. Okay, this is done. I'm gonna go and create another instance over here, launch instance, and I'm gonna name this instance as my instance B, and need Amazon Linux. Great. Key pair login is not required, and we're gonna select this subnet over here. So subnet we're gonna select as UST1A because that is what we need. It will create launch wizard 3 over there, and just storage settings, we're gonna click on edit and add shared file system. We have the file system over here. Sounds good. MNT EFS FS1. Great. So that is fine, guys. Gonna launch the instance now. It will take a couple of minutes to actually, you know, the instances to be available. So let's wait for that time. I think one of them would be available directly. Okay, so let's refresh it till that guy also. Come on, man, come on. So we can check the instance, and we can go to storage over here, and we can see, okay, this is my block devices over here. I should be having some EFS data over here. Block devices. Okay, I do not see it over here for some reason. Okay, no problem. We can. Okay, root device details. So that is networking. Okay, we don't. Okay, no problem. We will anyways check it. So okay, so both are in running state. Right now what we will do is, first we will select the my instance. Okay, my instance A we will go, and we're gonna go to my instance A, and then we're gonna click on connect over here, and EC2 instance connect will use, and we're just gonna connect to my instance A. Right, so what I want to show is that how can we use the shared storage that EFS provides, right? So we're gonna just use that, and I'm gonna show you how to use that. So we are in the terminal. Everything looks great. Great. So if you remember, the mount point of our you know, EFS file system was /mnt/EFS/FS1. So we can go to change directory and give the path name. It's not pasting. Okay, I think /mnt/EFS/FS1 /mnt/EFS/FS1. Okay, we are inside of that, and if you see the working directory, you can see that it is in our EFS file system. So just to test something, we just gonna say touch hello.txt. We're gonna create one file. cannot touch, permission is denied. So I'm just gonna say sudo touch hello dot txt. Okay, now I have the file, I guess. If I say ls, I have hello.txt over here. Okay, so now what we will do is we're gonna go into our instances, and if you see our instance B over here, we will do the same thing, and we will just go to connect over here, and just gonna click on connect over here. We're just gonna test if that particular file is there or not, right? And it should be there because this is a shared storage that we are seeing. So we're gonna just say cd /mnt /efs/fs1, and if I say ls over here, you can see that the hello.txt that we created in instance A is still in over here, right? Great. So this is how you can see that one EFS we are attaching multiple instances, and they can work with each other, and it's super fast, and you can just see how easy it is to work with this, and yeah, it's just amazing. Okay, so if I go to my file system over here, we can see certain details right now of this particular thing, and if you see access points, maybe file system, okay, we cannot see. I wanted to see if we can just check to whom it is attached. Just wanted to show. Anyways, we just saw the demo and we are good, I think. Yeah, we are good. Okay, so now what I will do, I'll just do some cleanup activity right now, and I'm just gonna go and delete my instances because I do not need it anymore. So I'm just gonna click on this thing and actions, and then terminate, sorry, instance state, and terminate the instance. Terminate. Okay, I had it over here, but anyways, and I'm also gonna go and probably delete my EFS file system as well, because I'm doing it right now because I generally forget. I don't know, something is happening and I'm forgetting stuff. So gonna click on delete, and so this is my ID. I think we need to copy it and paste it over there. Okay, that's fine. We're gonna continue our theory now, and we're gonna talk about the key concepts over here. So one of the key concept is elasticity, right? So EFS automatically grows and shrinks as you add and remove files, providing storage capacity on demand, guys. As we talked about the elastic performance, that guy over there. NFS support, it has mount targets. EFS uses mount targets in our VPC to provide access to file system. Each mount target provides an IP address to which you can connect. Lifecycle management, we just saw that you can transition into different sections like tiers, you would say, and you can automate the movement of the files between the different sections. Now talking about security, guys, we just saw that you can encrypt your file system. It has access control, that we saw the file system policies. You can use ACLs to control access to your EFS file system, so keep that in mind. If some question comes into the exam, you can answer that. You can use ACLs to control access to your EFS file system. Security groups, yes, obviously your EFS is, as we created a security group and attached to our EFS, we just saw that you can create a security group and attach it to your EFS, and that should work. Use cases. So what are the use cases where you will use EFS? Web serving and content management, right? Basically when you need a shared file system, you would basically go for EFS. Home directories, so basically you're working in an organization, and basically you are working with a lot of shared files between your employees. Then you can just create one home directory, I would say, or one directory, and you can just share files in them using the NFS protocol and using EFS. Big data analytics, suitable for big data analytics workloads that require high throughput and parallel access to shared data. Yes, you can use this. Anyways, in the context of EFS, if you need big data, then you can use it, but I do not in my personal opinion, I would not use EFS for big data and analytics, because it will cost you a lot, and there are a lot of other options also, but it can be used for this purpose. It provides you with backup and restore properties for disaster recovery solutions. So best practices, what you can do is monitor the performance. Yes, that is important to do. Optimize the costs, right? Basically you can use the lifecycle management to transition your files into an infrequently storage class, infrequently accessed storage class, to cut the costs. Talking about security, you can enable encryption and use policies and IAM policies and security groups to control the access. Pretty simple to understand. Performance tuning, choose the performance mode, whatever you need. As we talked about, there were 3 types. One is bursting, then one is elastic, and one is provisioned. Sorry if my spelling of provisioned is wrong. Okay, hope that making sense. Now let's talk about some important points for the exam. Understand the differences between EFS performance mode, general purpose versus max IO, right? We just discussed about it in a few minutes ago. Know the use cases for different EFS storage classes, standard versus infrequent access. Be familiar with how to mount an EFS file system to EC2 instances. It's pretty simple. You can also do that manually as well, but as AWS provides you with that thing, why will you do it manually? Understand how to implement and manage EFS lifecycle management policies. Know how to configure EFS for high availability and durability. Be aware of the security features available for EFS, including encryption and access controls. And at last, understand the cost implications and how to optimize costs using lifecycle management. So everywhere, cost, that is very much important. The cost should go down, performance should go up. That's the main motive that you should be in your mind whenever you are answering questions or in your real life scenario. So yeah, just keep in mind all of these concepts and you are good to go. Okay guys, so that was all about EBS and EFS in this video. I hope you liked all the theory session and also the practical session, and I hope to see you in my next video. Till then, have a nice day, take care, and bye bye.